Everybody, and all I can say is wow. Who would have thought we were going to be able to pull this reunion off? None of us really believed it was going to happen, but it did. There were so many impediments that we faced over the last few years. The pandemic, for example, was one of them, and that's been plaguing. Can we have your attention over there, please? Thank you. So let me thank you on behalf of our committee for concerting an effort to attend. This is reaffirming that not only our commitment to the company that we love, the one that employed us and compensated us, but also to our family who worked so tirelessly and committedly to make our company the great success that it was. My opinion only, but there would be no American Airlines today if not for the work of all of us over the course of the many years that we were employed by our company. And certainly, while our reunion committee worked diligently, fervently, not only to gauge interest in participating in this next reunion, but in arranging the event. So we would likely not be here if not for the work of the committee, but also for the energy of our drum beater, Don Galanti. I think you all know Don is tenacious, sometimes out of control. But he's clearly committed to keeping our family together, and he's done it so well. For those of you who are recipients of Don's email list, and I'm not sure who was all on it, but I went back and did a quick look at a collective number of emails from all my friends and colleagues, and Don emails dwarf anything that I have in my personal email. So that either means I don't have friends or colleagues, or Don is just overly tenacious. But one way or another, Don keeps us going. I do believe I personally know more about his surgeries. I know more about his grumpy old men's club at the Starbucks, his massive dog, that four-legged creature called Whiskey. So, yeah, we know a lot about that. But in addition to Don, let me also acknowledge our reunion committee, and that's Debbie Meyer, Charlie Rocket, who was a last-minute cancellation, couldn't be here, and David Lynn. Sadly, and I mean sadly and tragically, we lost Chuck Kreiner. Chuck was on our committee. He was an active member of the committee right up until the very end. He participated in all our planning. He was instrumental in providing, very good counsel to us. So Chuck, wherever you are looking down on us, recognize that today we honor you as a very important member of our family. We'll be thinking of you from now into eternity. So let's see, so much has happened since we last met, and we won't go through all of this, but we did have the global pandemic, we did have masking and vaccines. The government provided the aviation industry stimulus funding for the airlines to keep flying, which selfishly preserved my flying benefits. There are rumblings of additional airline consolidation. Later I'll ask Mr. Kolodny a little bit about his views on that. There's been a lot of change in aviation leadership. American Airlines, Doug Parker and some of his team are now retired. And yeah, really, a lot of people say that. Former president of American or USAirways is now at the helm at United Airlines, and that is Scott Kirby. And there are many of our family that are still in the business. Our own Barry Biffle, is the CEO of an airline, and I think Kevin Healy and Ben Baldonza are pretty active in the industry today. So there's been a lot going on since we had last met, but most importantly, and I share this somberly, is the loss of so many in our sales and marketing family. Most recently, Terry Harris, who was planning to attend this event. The list of those who have entered the internal land has grown pretty significantly. And they were not all COVID related. Some of what we experience is the simple aging process. But these are the men and women, our partners, our teammates, who again our family that we worked with, we danced with, we sang with, we shared trials and tribulations with. So not to dampen the enthusiasm here, and I wasn't necessarily in agreement with our committee, but unlike in the past, we'll not be reading the names of those that have passed. It's a long list, but if you get the emails that Dawn and Debbie and David sent out, our sales and marketing list does have the list of the deceased, and there are some printed copies here that Debbie Meyer has, so if anybody wants to take that with you, please do. But lest we never forget them, because we battled and we persevered together. In consultation with our planning committee and with his approval, I opted to engage our guest, our leader, Mr. Kolodny, a little differently this year. He has graciously given his time again to join us at a ripe young age of, Mr. C, I think 96, about ready to turn 97. Do I have that correct? In a few weeks?
What'd you say?
What else needs?
I don't know.
What else needs to be said? I did feel it might be a challenge for Mr. Kolodny to stand and deliver a speech that's over a long period of time. So we'll have a town hall type of conversation after a chat, where I'm going to ask him a wide array of questions, in part stemming from some additional research, but including a deeper look into his recently published memoirs. If any of you read his memoirs, you certainly would have learned so much about him that many of us likely didn't know. He agreed to the town hall style conversation as I pressed him on some of the behind the scenes discussions on matters identified that most of us might not have known. I certainly didn't. I felt maybe it would be interesting to see the man behind the man, as Mr. Kolodny has quite the interesting and renowned career, especially his interactions with senior level politicians, luminaries, dignitaries, and for being selected to lead Pan American Airlines as chairman, which I didn't know. I learned it over lunch one day and in his memoirs, so maybe Mr. Kolodny will address that a little bit more. Do note, as a housekeeping note, David Galanti, Dawn's son, is not only taking photos, he will be recording at the town hall. And David, I believe you indicated you'll be making it available in some sort of a link that we can all see sometime after the event. So again, I want to thank you, welcome you for being here. Before we eat, however, and I know you're hungry, I'd like to read a few words sent by our former CEO, Seth Schofield. He sent a note that said, "My best wishes to each of you as you enjoy this year's sales and marketing reunion. It was well known in our industry that you as a group were the very best, and your continuing respect for each other is validated by your presence tonight. I wish you all good health. Seth Butch Schofield." And I did hear from Randy Malin, who did not indicate that he had any interest in coming, but he did pass on his best wishes, and he commented about how effective of the sales and marketing team we were for a company. So I believe he's out in San Antonio. Lastly, a quick housekeeping note: the cost of the reunion dinner, including use of this room, tax and security, is $60.65, 60.65. I think Dawn has reiterated that in a number of emails. So broken down, that's $45.95 for the dinner, 10% tax, 20% tip. That includes your salad, your entree, your dessert, your coffee and tea. All other beverages will be extra. So to avoid confusion, our servers will provide separate checks for your convenience. Now lastly, Dawn, it would be sad if we didn't ask you to come up and say a few words. You agreed to keep it to no more than an hour, but we're asking maybe 5 minutes. So our drum beater, Dawn Galanti.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
When he says keep it short, we do the opposite. Thank you, David. It's a great pleasure to be here tonight. I never believed when we started this in 2010 we would have our 5th reunion. And that's a tribute to all of you. And thank you very much. I remember those days. In 2005, we had a lot of changes at the company, and people scattered everywhere. And then I waited 4 years, and I couldn't take it any longer. I got to go back to my friends. And I called my friend Charlie Rocket in North Carolina, because I knew we were going to need some help with getting some folks from Piedmont to come to our reunion. And when I called Charlie, he said, "I really can't help you. I'm so busy with my family." And I said, "Wow, geez, I didn't realize you had a big family." He said, "Oh yeah, I have 4 ducks, 6 cats, a dog, and a beautiful wife." But I said, "Unacceptable, you will help me." And from there we went on, and you saw the results. I never forget the electricity in the room in Indianapolis when we had our first reunion. Mr. Klodny attended. Mr. Klodny never returned after that, though, let me tell you. Because one of our attendees had a little bit too much to drink and gave Mr. Klodny a kiss on the forehead. If you remember it. And
Who invited him? The mic will go silent in a few minutes.
I will tell you that I have notes taken, and I thought since we're all here, I would share with you my physical. My doctor said, "Okay, Don, let's have a look under the hood." I go, "Oh my gosh, no." And he goes, "Yep, we're going to do a blood test today. I'm pleased to tell you, you are 50% Italian, 40% Ukrainian, and 10% titanium." It's my knees. And I too, like David mentioned, I attribute a lot to our helpers, our motivators in our group. I'm talking about Debbie Meyer, talking about David Lim, David Cassavetter, Charlie Rocket, of course myself. It's been a pleasure to do this, and I'm just so proud of you folks, because as I go around and tell people what we do, and we have a reunion, they are in absolute awe that we have a group that meets every couple of years, and it dates back quite a few years. Unfortunately, we had a lot of folks who did not come today because their spouse was not up to date and couldn't make the trip. But this shows that we do have a lot of vitality in the folks that used to be with us that are kind of hurting today. Mr. Klodny, I went over some of my notes, and he kind of didn't think that I had enough in him because I didn't mention his name enough. And I want to give you a couple of stories about when I met this young man the first time. It was at the hangar, if you remember, Mr. Klodny. I knew it was you when you walked up the long hallway because his photograph is in every place in the hangar. If you look in the closet, the men's room, the hallway, there's a photo of Mr. Klodny. So when he walked up to me, I kind of knew who he was. And when he walked up to me, he looked at my feet first and then put his head up and he goes, "Are you lost?" I go, "No, sir. I'm looking for the employee cafeteria." He said, "Well, follow me." And he walked me down the long little walkway there. Never forget it, with a green tile floor. And he goes, "Stop here." We stopped in front of a vending machine. He put 2 quarters in, and he said, here's your lunch." And by the way, I know you're in sales. I don't want to see this on your expense report. He was always a man who watched the bottom line. I can tell stories all day long about this man.
Yes, we know.
And the one that I like the best is when we decided to have this reunion, I had to find a speaker. Who could we have that would be a worthwhile speaker? So I called Mr. Kolodny. And I said, Mr. Kolodny, in your executive position over the years, you have traveled to many places around the world. He said, yes, I have. And I said, in some places they had free speech, and some places they did not have free speech. Do you believe in free speech? He said, yes, I do. I said, good, because I need one for our reunion. And there you have it. He's still with us. We can't get rid of him. But we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. Face it. Many of our people come because he's here, and he's the man that we all love and enjoy. We can kid around with, and he never takes it serious. Even though we stretch the truth. And the last one, Mr. Kolodny. See, I got the book on you. I got it. I just learned that Mr. Kolodny was sometimes locked in his office because people didn't want him to go out and fly somewhere and look at the airport, and he would write down a tablet full of things that need to be fixed. So when he would go out, he would come back with a big notebook of this is broke, whatever. And that went on, and he was one who really did a great job. Thank you so much, sir. We're still here today.
Thanks, Don. Everybody's hungry. Enjoy. More we can do.
Don, what about that health club you go to?